Today I will be explaining type 2 diabetes to my friend Angela. Type 2 diabetes is a chronic disease that affects almost 30 million Americans. A person with type 2 diabetes cannot regulate the level of glucose in their blood. This is due to either their pancreas not making enough insulin or their cells becoming unresponsive to that insulin. Now let's take a little step back and define a few terms. What is glucose and why is it important? Glucose is a type of sugar that is broken down from the food that you eat and is your body's primary energy source. Every time you eat something, your digestive system breaks it down into the basic unit glucose, and then it releases it into your bloodstream. This raises your blood sugar levels and tells your pancreas to make insulin. Now, what's a pancreas? A pancreas is a small organ that is located right behind your stomach and your small intestine and right by your liver. Its main job is to make insulin. Now, insulin is a hormone that allows glucose to enter your blood. Because on their own, your cells are like locked doors. Even if the glucose is present, it can't get into your cells. And if your cells are locked doors, then insulin is the key. When insulin is around, it allows your cells to take in the glucose and use it as energy. However, in somebody with type 2 diabetes, for whatever reason, their cells have stopped responding to the insulin. The number one trigger for this is obesity, but other risk factors can include genetics, a sedentary lifestyle, and even just age. So they have the insulin and they have the glucose, but they're not responding to the insulin, so they can't take in the glucose. As far as the cells are concerned, there is no glucose. So they tell the liver, which has glucose stored in it, to release it into the bloodstream, and they also signal your brain telling you to eat. So then you have this huge influx of glucose, which tells your pancreas to make even more insulin. So now you have a ton of glucose, a ton of insulin, and yet your cells still aren't getting any energy. Now, if this cycle continues, then it can wear out your pancreas, and eventually it might stop making insulin altogether. Now, as you might imagine, that can cause a whole myriad of problems. You might be tired all the time because your cells aren't getting energy. You might be hungry all the time because the food you're eating is not being used by your cells. You could be dehydrated because since you're not using the glucose, your body has to get rid of it somehow because it would be bad for it to just sit there. So it does this by using your kidneys and flushing it out through the urine. You also might find that you experience sudden weight loss because your body's going to turn to alternatives for energy and it's going to start breaking down your muscle and your fat. While this might be seen as a positive by some, it's really not, because when your body breaks down fat, it produces something called ketones, and these ketones make your body more acidic. And if your body is too acidic for too long, it can cause muscle and even nerve damage. You might also find that small wounds and cuts take a really long time to heal. This is because the red blood cells responsible for healing those little cuts aren't getting the energy, so they can't function the way that they're supposed to. You might also find that you have tingling in your fingers and your toes, or even blurry vision. This is because the glucose in your blood is actually making it more thick, so it's harder for it to flow through the really tiny blood vessels in your body, like the ones in your fingers and the ones in your optic nerve. If no adjustments are made to your lifestyle after being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, some long-term complications can occur. You might experience eye problems, as just explained, or you might have to deal with neuropathy, which is nerve damage, or hypertension, high blood pressure. If those are left untreated, they can lead to heart disease. And on top of that, you're also at risk for kidney disease because your kidneys are overworked because they're constantly trying to flush out the glucose. But it's not a hopeless situation. There are ways to cope with the disease, like sticking to a specific diet or taking insulin shots. But it's crucial that these steps be taken if you want to manage the disease and lead a normal life. Thank you.
Thank you.